Lieutenant Galactic stared at his sensor screen, his four arms frozen above the control panel. The Zolarian officer had served at Deep Space Monitoring Station Epsilon 9 for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Commander," he called out, his voice shaking. "We have an unknown contact." Commander Riva hurried over, her blue skin turning pale as she looked at the readings. "Distance. That's the problem, ma'am. It just appeared. No warp signature, no hyperspace tunnel. It's simply there." The entire command center went silent. Every officer turned to look at the main display screen, a massive ship, easily 10 times the size of an Imperial battlecruiser, hung in space where nothing had been seconds before. "Impossible," Commander Riva whispered. "Ships don't just appear. Run a diagnostic on the sensors." "I already did," Galactic replied. 3 times. The readings are accurate. The unknown vessel was unlike anything in the Empire's database. Its design was strange, angular and blocky, covered in what looked like primitive armor plating. Along its side, crude symbols spelled out words that the universal translator struggled to decode. UEAs, endurance. Galactic read slowly as the translation finally came through. "Origin," Commander Riva demanded. "Unknown. The computer has no match for this design among any of the Empire's 10,000 registered species." Galactic's fingers danced across the controls. "Energy readings are..." "Commander, this can't be right." "What is it?" "Power output exceeds our best warships by a factor of 50, and it's not using any propulsion system we recognize." The alarm suddenly screamed to life. Red lights flashed across the command center. "The ship is moving," a junior officer shouted, heading deeper into Empire space. Commander Riva grabbed the emergency communicator. "This is Deep Space Station Epsilon 9 to Imperial Fleet Command. We have a code black situation. Unknown vessel of unprecedented power has breached our borders, requesting immediate military response." As they watched, the mysterious ship accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible. The laws of physics seemed to bend around it, space itself warping as it moved. "They're ignoring all our hails," the communications officer reported. "Standard frequencies, emergency channels, even the universal greeting protocol. No response." Galactic noticed something strange on his scanner. "Commander, look at this. The ship's hull. It's changing. The molecular structure is shifting constantly, like it's alive. Or adaptive," Commander Riva said grimly. "Send everything we have to Fleet Command. Include all sensor data, visual recordings, everything." As the massive ship disappeared from their sensor range, heading toward the heart of the Empire, Galactic felt a chill run through his body. In 20 years of service, he had seen the Empire face countless threats. But this was different. The Empire had always been the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Their technology was unmatched, their military undefeated. But now, something had arrived that made their greatest achievements look primitive. "What do you think they want?" Galactic asked quietly. Commander Riva stared at the empty space where the ship had been. "I don't know, Lieutenant, but I have a feeling the galaxy is about to change forever." She was right. They just didn't know how much. High Admiral Vorton stood tall before the Imperial Council, his green scales gleaming under the chamber's bright lights. The circular room was filled with representatives from the Empire's most powerful species. All eyes were fixed on the massive holographic display floating in the center. "What you are about to see," Vorton began, his deep voice echoing through the chamber, "has never happened in the 5,000-year history of our empire." He pressed a button, and the hologram came to life. The recording from Station Epsilon 9 played, showing the mysterious ship appearing from nowhere. Gasps filled the room as the vessel materialized without any warning. "This is impossible," shouted Counselor Drax, slamming his tentacle on the table. "No ship can travel without leaving traces." "Yet it did," Vorton replied calmly. "And that's not all." The hologram changed, showing energy readings that made several counselors jump from their seats. "These power levels," whispered Counselor Mila, her feathers ruffling in alarm. "They exceed our most powerful dreadnoughts." "By 50 times, Vorton confirmed. "The ship has ignored all communication attempts. It's now heading directly toward our inner systems." Emperor Caxtor, who had remained silent until now, leaned forward on his throne. His 6 eyes narrowed as he studied the hologram. "What species created this vessel?" "That's the most disturbing part, Your Majesty," Vorton said. He zoomed in on the ship's markings. "Our translators identified the language as belonging to a species called humans. We have no record of them in our database." The council erupted into chaos. Shouts and arguments filled the chamber as fear spread among the members. Silence. The Emperor's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Everyone immediately quieted. "Admiral, how is it possible that a species with such technology has remained hidden from us?" "We don't know, Your Majesty, but there's more." Vorton played another recording. "Watch what happens when our patrol ships try to intercept it." The hologram showed 3 Imperial cruisers approaching the human vessel. They activated their containment fields, powerful energy barriers that had stopped countless enemy ships before. But the human ship passed through them as if they weren't there. "Our best defensive technology had no effect," Vorton said grimly. The human ship didn't even slow down. Counselor Tuchak, the military strategist, stood up. "We must destroy it immediately. Use the planet killers, and risk starting a war with a species that can appear anywhere, anytime." Counselor Mela countered. "We don't even know if this is their only ship." Emperor Caxtor raised his hand for silence. His ancient eyes studied the hologram carefully. "Admiral Vorton, what do you recommend?" "Your Majesty, we need to understand what we're facing. I suggest sending our first contact fleet, led by Captain Zorva. She's our best diplomat and a skilled commander." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Do it, but prepare our defenses. If these humans prove hostile." He paused, looking at the impossible ship in the hologram. "We may be facing the greatest threat in our empire's history." As the council members filed out, many glanced nervously at the hologram. The human ship continued its steady advance into Imperial space, unstoppable and mysterious. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Empire felt fear. Captain Zorva stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Imperial Star Glory. Her silver hair flowed down her back, and her 4 golden eyes scanned the view screen. 20 of the Empire's finest warships flew in perfect formation behind her. "Captain, we're approaching the human vessel," her first officer reported. "Distance, 100,000 kilometers." Zorva felt something she hadn't experienced in decades: uncertainty. She had led over 50 first contact missions, but this felt different. "Open all communication channels," she ordered. "Use every frequency we know." The communications officer worked quickly. "Channels open, Captain." Broadcasting standard greeting in 10,000 languages. Minutes passed. The human ship continued its steady course, completely ignoring them. "Try again," Zorva commanded. "Include mathematical sequences, music, and visual patterns. Something must work." Suddenly, the human ship responded. Strange sounds filled the bridge, a language unlike anything they had heard before. "Translation?" Zorva asked urgently. The linguistics officer shook his head. "Our universal translator can't decode it. The language structure is alien to anything in our database." Zorva made a decision. "Move the fleet into standard containment formation. We'll try diplomatic containment protocols." The 20 Imperial ships spread out, forming a sphere around the human vessel. Each ship activated its containment field, creating an energy barrier that should trap any ship inside. "Containment field active," the tactical officer announced. "The human ship is, Captain." "Look." On the screen, the human warship moved forward as if the containment field didn't exist. It passed through the energy barrier like a ghost through a wall. "Impossible." the science officer exclaimed. "Those fields can stop antimatter explosions. Increase power to maximum," Zorva ordered, though she already knew it wouldn't work. The Imperial ships poured all their energy into the containment field. The barrier glowed brighter, strong enough to crush a small moon. The human ship continued forward, unaffected. "Captain," the first officer whispered, "their technology. It's like our defenses don't exist to them." Zorva watched as her fleet's most powerful defensive measure proved useless. She had one option left. "Attention unknown vessel," she broadcast, knowing the humans probably wouldn't understand. "This is Captain Zorva of the Galactic Empire. You have entered restricted space. Please respond, or we will be forced to take defensive action." The human ship finally reacted. It stopped moving. "They're responding," the communications officer shouted. "Visual transmission incoming." The view screen changed. For the first time, the Empire saw humans. They looked surprisingly ordinary, bipedal, with 2 arms and 1 head. But their eyes held an intelligence that made Zorva's scales tingle. A human stepped forward. The translator suddenly worked, producing broken but understandable words. "Captain Zorva, we know who you are. We know your empire. We've been watching. Now it's time for you to listen." The transmission ended. The human ship began moving again, passing through Zorva's fleet as if the warships were made of smoke. "Orders, Captain," her first officer asked, voice shaking. Zorva stared at the retreating human vessel. "Follow them, and send a priority message to the Emperor. Tell him everything we thought we knew about the galaxy just changed." The hunt had become something else entirely. The hunters had discovered they might be the prey. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Endurance, her brown eyes studying the tactical display. Her crew worked quietly around her, each person focused on their task. After 50 years of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. "Status report," she said calmly. "All systems nominal, Captain," replied Commander James Rodriguez. "The Imperial fleet is following us, just as planned." Sarah nodded. "It's time. Open a channel to all Imperial ships in their homeworld. Let's introduce ourselves properly." Lieutenant Kim pressed several buttons. "Channel open, Captain. You're broadcasting to the entire Empire." Sarah took a deep breath and began. "Galactic Empire, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Endurance. We come in peace, but we do not come in weakness." Across the Empire, billions of beings stopped what they were doing to listen. "For 70 years, humanity has watched from the shadows. We've seen your empire grow, consuming world after world. We've watched you force weaker species to serve you. We've seen your peace built on fear and oppression." In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Caxtor gripped his throne tightly as he listened. "We developed our technology in secret, learning from your mistakes, studying your weaknesses, not to conquer you, but to free the galaxy from your tyranny." Sarah pressed a button on her command chair. Instantly, every Imperial ship in the pursuing fleet lost power to their weapons. Life support remained active, but all offensive systems went dark. On the bridge of the Imperial Star Glory, Captain Zorva watched helplessly as her weapons displays turned red. "What's happening?" she demanded. "Unknown, Captain. They've somehow disabled our weapons without firing a shot." Back on the Endurance, Sarah continued her message. "This is a demonstration, not an attack. We could destroy your fleet, but we choose not to. Humanity learned long ago that true strength isn't about destruction. It's about protection." She gestured to her science officer. "Show them." The Endurance projected a holographic map visible to every Imperial ship. It showed Earth's location, previously unknown to the Empire, and hundreds of human ships positioned throughout Imperial space. "We've been among you for decades," Sarah explained. "Our ships have protected developing species from your expansion. Every time you tried to conquer a new world and mysteriously failed, that was us." In the Imperial Council chamber, Panic spread as they realized the extent of human infiltration. "We offer you a choice," Sarah continued. "End your expansion. Free the species you've enslaved. Create a galaxy where all beings are equal. Or," she paused, letting the silence build tension, "or we will dismantle your empire piece by piece, not through war, but by giving every oppressed species the technology to free themselves." The transmission ended. Across the empire, weapons systems slowly came back online, a clear message that humans could take them away again at any time. On her bridge, Captain Zorva turned to her crew. "Send a message to the Emperor. Tell him we're not dealing with invaders. We're dealing with liberators." The Endurance continued toward the Imperial capital, no longer a mysterious threat, but a herald of change. Emperor Caxtor paced back and forth in his private war room. His 6 eyes blazed with anger, while his ancient body trembled with barely controlled rage. Around him stood his most trusted military advisors. "They dare threaten the Empire," he growled. "These humans think they can dictate terms to us." General Thrak stepped forward, his massive armored form casting a shadow on the floor. "Your Majesty, we must show them the true power of the Empire. Deploy the Planet Killers." The Planet Killers were the Empire's ultimate weapons, 5 massive dreadnoughts, each capable of destroying entire worlds. They had been used only 3 times in Imperial history, and each time they had ended wars before they began. "Yes," Caxtor hissed. "Summon them all. We'll turn this Endurance into space dust." Within hours, the 5 Planet Killers emerged from their hidden bases. Each ship was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack planets open. They converged on the human ship's position, creating a formation that had made entire species surrender in terror. Meanwhile, aboard the Endurance, Sarah Chen watched the approaching dreadnoughts with calm eyes. "Captain, 5 Planet Killers on intercept course," her tactical officer reported. "They'll be in firing range in 30 minutes. "Let them come," Sarah replied. "It's time for the second demonstration." Back in the Imperial Command Center, military analysts studied every piece of data about the Endurance. Their findings appeared on massive screens for the Emperor to see. "Your Majesty," Chief Scientist Viren reported, her voice shaking, "the human ship uses technologies we can't comprehend. Their shields aren't energy barriers. They're something called quantum phase shields. They exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously." Another screen showed more terrifying details. "Their armor isn't metal. It's some kind of programmable matter that can change its molecular structure instantly. And their engines," Viren swallowed hard. "They manipulate probability itself. They don't move through space. They change the probability of where they exist." The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. "Theories and guesses. The Planet Killers will prove these humans can bleed like anyone else." As the massive dreadnoughts took position around the Endurance, the entire Empire watched through live feeds. Billions of beings held their breath, waiting to see the human ship destroyed. Admiral Krell, commanding the lead Planet Killer, gave the order. "All ships, prepare to fire. Maximum power to main weapons." The 5 dreadnoughts began to glow as they charged their planet-cracking cannons. Energy readings went off the scale. Space itself seemed to warp around the massive weapons. On the Endurance, Sarah Chen simply smiled. "Activate temporal displacement field." Just as the Planet Killers fired, space around the Endurance twisted. The devastating beams that could shatter worlds hit. Nothing. The human ship had somehow shifted slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. But that wasn't all. The Planet Killer's own energy beams curved back toward them, trapped in a temporal loop the humans had created. "Emergency shields," Admiral Krell screamed. The Empire's ultimate weapons barely managed to protect themselves from their own attacks. When the chaos cleared, the Endurance remained untouched, floating serenely in space. Emperor Caxtor stared at the screens in disbelief. For the first time in his 1,000-year reign, He felt true fear. Admiral Krell stared at his displays in horror. His planet killer's hull integrity showed severe damage, not from enemy fire, but from its own weapons. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically to assess the situation. "Damage report," he barked. "Sir, our hull is aging." The science officer replied, confusion in his voice. "The metal is showing signs of being thousands of years old. It's becoming brittle and weak." On the Endurance, Captain Sarah Chen opened another channel to the Imperial fleet. "Admiral Krell, Emperor Caxtor, and all who are watching, what you just witnessed was a warning, not an attack. Observe." Sarah nodded to her temporal engineer. "Reverse the aging effect." Waves of blue energy flowed from the Endurance toward the planet killers. Within seconds, their hulls returned to pristine condition, as if the damage had never happened. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Caxtor watched with growing dread. His advisors stood in stunned silence. "They can control time itself," whispered General Thrak, his earlier confidence gone. Sarah's voice continued. "We aged your ships by 5,000 years in seconds. We could have let them crumble to dust. Instead, we restored them. This is the difference between humanity and your empire. We have the power to destroy, but we choose to preserve." She paused, letting her words sink in across the empire. "For decades, you've ruled through fear. You've crushed civilizations, enslaved species, destroyed cultures. You believe your technology made you gods. But there's always someone more advanced, and today you've met them." The Endurance moved forward, passing between the massive planet killers as if they were toys. The Dreadnought's crews could only watch helplessly. "We've protected over 200 species from your expansion," Sarah revealed. "Every time your scouts found a new civilization, we were there first. We gave them shields, taught them to hide, helped them develop. Your empire stopped growing not because you chose to, but because we stopped you." In the Imperial Council chamber, members began to argue among themselves. Some called for surrender, others for continued resistance. Sarah delivered her final demonstration. "Watch carefully, Emperor. This is what we could do to your entire fleet." The Endurance projected a holographic field that encompassed all 5 planet killers. Within this field, time began to fluctuate wildly. Parts of the ships aged millennia, while others reversed to earlier states. Weapons systems cycled through their entire operational history in seconds. Then, just as suddenly, everything returned to normal. "We could unravel your entire military in minutes," Sarah stated calmly. "But we won't. Because unlike you, we believe in choice. We believe in freedom. We believe that power should protect, not oppress." Emperor Caxtor slumped in his throne. His ancient mind, which had overseen countless conquests, finally understood. The humans hadn't come to conquer. They had come to teach. "What do you want?" he asked through the communication channel, his voice no longer commanding but almost pleading. Sarah smiled. "We want you to listen, Emperor. We want you to change. And we're going to show you how." The Endurance set course for the Imperial capital, no longer an invader, but a teacher arriving to give the most important lesson in the Empire's history. Deep within the Imperial Intelligence Headquarters, Director Zin's 8 eyes scanned through report after report. Her tentacles trembled as she processed the information flooding in from across the Empire. Each new piece of data was more troubling than the last. "Director," an analyst burst into her office. "We've completed the sensor sweep you ordered. The results are terrifying." Zin grabbed the data pad with 2 tentacles. What she saw made her heart stop. Hundreds of dots appeared on the galactic map, each one a human ship. They were everywhere, near Imperial shipyards, around military bases, orbiting colony worlds, even close to the Imperial capital itself. "How long?" she whispered. "How long have they been there?" "Our analysis suggests years, Director. Maybe decades. They'd been using some kind of cloaking technology beyond anything we've ever seen. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Caxtor received the same report. His advisors gathered around the holographic display, watching as more and more human ships revealed themselves across Imperial space. "They're everywhere," General Thrak muttered, his earlier bravado completely gone. "They've infiltrated every corner of our empire." A message came through from Captain Zorva, still trailing the Endurance. "Your Majesty, we've observed something else. Each human ship is different. They're not all warships." The hologram zoomed in on various human vessels. Some were clearly military, but others appeared to be medical ships, agricultural vessels, and educational platforms. "They've been helping our subjects," Zorva continued. "We found evidence of mysterious crop improvements on Vega II, unexplained medical breakthroughs on Rigel Prime, and advanced learning programs appearing on dozens of worlds." It was all of them. On a remote Imperial colony, Governor Malik watched in amazement as a human ship cloaked above his world. For years, his people had struggled with a planetary plague. Mysterious medicines had appeared in their hospitals, saving thousands. Now he knew where they came from. Across the Empire, similar revelations occurred. Enslaved species discovered their secret protectors. Oppressed worlds learned about their invisible guardians. The humans hadn't just infiltrated the Empire. They had been systematically undermining its oppressive system from within. Back on the Endurance, Sarah Chen received reports from her fleet captains. "All ships reporting in, Captain," Commander Rodriguez announced. "Operation Guardian Angel is complete. We're fully visible across Imperial space." Sarah nodded. "Good. Let them see the full scope of what we've done." In the Imperial Council, panic reached new heights. "They could have destroyed us at any time," Councillor Drax exclaimed. "They've had ships near all our vital installations for years." Emperor Caxtor raised his hand for silence. The ancient ruler looked older than ever as he processed this information. "Don't you see?" he said quietly. "They could have destroyed us, but they chose to help our subjects instead. They'd been saving the very people we oppressed." The Emperor stood slowly, his ceremonial robes feeling heavier than ever. "Prepare my shuttle. I will meet with Captain Chen personally. It's time to discuss terms." For the first time in 5 millennia, the Galactic Empire would negotiate from a position of weakness. The hidden fleet had changed everything. The Imperial Palace throne room had never felt so empty. Emperor Caxtor stood alone at its center, waiting. His guards wanted to accompany him, but he had refused. This meeting needed to happen without weapons or threats. A shimmer of light appeared, and Captain Sarah Chen materialized through the human transporter team. She wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's symbol, a planet surrounded by olive branches. "Emperor Caxtor," she said, bowing slightly. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." The Emperor studied her. This human seemed so ordinary, yet she commanded power beyond his comprehension. "Captain Chen," he replied, "you've made your capabilities clear. What are your terms?" Sarah walked forward, her boots echoing in the vast chamber. "First, you should know that we've studied your empire's history. We understand why you expanded. Fear of being conquered yourselves, scarcity of resources, the belief that order requires control." She stopped a respectful distance from the throne. "But those fears led you down a dark path. You became what you feared most. And now you'll destroy us." Caxtor asked. "No," Sarah smiled. "We'll help you transform." She activated a small holographic projector. Images appeared showing the Empire's subject worlds. "These are your conquered territories. Over 3,000 inhabited systems, hundreds of species living under Imperial rule. Our terms are simple. Freedom for all of them." The Emperor's 6 eyes widened. "You want us to release our entire empire?" "Not release, restructure," Sarah explained. "Create a galactic coalition where every species has equal representation. End forced labor. Share technology freely. Allow each world to govern itself while participating in a greater community. And if we refuse? Caxtor asked, though he already knew the answer. Sarah's expression remained kind but firm. Then we'll dismantle your empire piece by piece, not through war, but by empowering every oppressed species. We'll give them shields, weapons, and the knowledge to defend themselves. Your empire will collapse from within. She showed him more holograms. Human ships already delivering defensive technology to subject worlds. This has already begun. Several systems have declared independence in the last hour. More will follow unless you choose a peaceful transition. Caxtor sat heavily on his throne. You've planned this for decades. We had to, Sarah replied. Earth learned harsh lessons from our own history. We know how power corrupts, how fear drives oppression. We couldn't let the same mistakes spread across the galaxy. And what becomes of me? Of my people? The Emperor asked. The Galactic Coalition will need experienced administrators. Your knowledge could help build something better. This isn't about punishment, it's about growth. Sarah extended her hand, a gesture of human friendship. Choose wisely, Emperor. You can be remembered as the tyrant who fell, or the leader who helped create a better galaxy. Caxtor stared at her outstretched hand. For 1,000 years, he had ruled through strength. Now, true strength meant letting go. Slowly, he reached out with one of his own hands. Tell me more about this coalition, he said. Sarah smiled. The transformation of the galaxy had begun. Emperor Caxtor sat in his private chamber, surrounded by his most trusted advisors. The room was divided. Half wanted to fight, half wanted to accept the human terms. Their arguments filled the air like a storm. We cannot surrender our empire, General Thrak shouted, slamming his armored fist on the table. We have ruled for 5,000 years, and will be destroyed in 5 days if we resist. Counselor Mela countered. You saw what they can do. They control time itself. Caxtor raised his hand for silence. In his other hand, he held a data pad showing reports from across the empire. 3 more systems had declared independence in the last hour. Human ships were appearing everywhere, distributing defensive technology to former subject worlds. Your Majesty, Admiral Vorton spoke carefully. Our analysis shows that if we fight, we lose everything. If we negotiate, we maintain some influence in this new coalition. The Emperor's 6 eyes closed as he remembered Sarah Chen's words. For the first time in centuries, he thought about his empire not as a ruler, but as a historian. What would future generations say about this moment? Show me the uprising reports again, he commanded. The holographic display activated, showing dozens of worlds where oppressed species were celebrating. They weren't attacking imperial forces, they were simply declaring their freedom, protected by human shield technology. Look at them, Caxtor said quietly. They're not angry. They're happy. His advisors fell silent as they watched the celebrations. On Rigel IV, former slaves danced in the streets. On Antares Prime, children played freely for the first time. On countless worlds, beings looked to the sky with hope instead of fear. For 1,000 years, I believed strength meant control, the Emperor continued. I thought peace required dominance. But these humans, they're stronger than us, yet they offer partnership instead of conquest. General Thrak stepped forward. Your Majesty, surely you're not considering. I am considering the survival of our species, Caxtor interrupted. And perhaps something more. Redemption. He stood, his ancient body straightening with new purpose. Summon Captain Chen. Tell her we accept the terms. The Galactic Empire ends today. The advisors gasped. Some protested, but Caxtor silenced them with a gesture. Don't you see? The humans could destroy us instantly. Instead, they offer us a chance to be part of something greater. They're not just more advanced technologically, they're more advanced morally. Within hours, the announcement spread across the galaxy. The Galactic Empire would transform into the Galactic Coalition. All species would have equal representation. Technology would be shared. freedom would replace fear. As Sarah Chen returned to the throne room to finalize the agreement, she found Caxtor waiting with a different expression. Not defeat, but relief. "You've taught this old emperor a final lesson," he said. "True power isn't about what you can take, but what you can give." Sarah smiled. "Welcome to the coalition, Caxtor. The real work begins now." Across the galaxy, beings of all species watched as history changed. The age of empires was ending. The age of cooperation was beginning. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Empire became the Galactic Coalition. Lieutenant Zalthix, who first detected the Endurance, now worked at Coalition Station Alpha, a joint monitoring facility where humans and former Imperial species worked side by side. "Contact detected in Sector 7. A human operator announced. "Unknown vessel approaching." Zalthix smiled with his 4 mouths. "Run standard welcome protocols. Let's see if they want to join us." The transformation hadn't been easy. Some Imperial hardliners tried to resist, but without the Emperor's support, their efforts failed quickly. Most surprisingly, former subject species didn't seek revenge. The humans had taught them that building was better than destroying. Across the galaxy, change was everywhere. Human medical ships visited former Imperial worlds, curing diseases that had plagued populations for centuries. Agricultural vessels shared technology that ended famines. Education platforms opened knowledge to all species equally. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Endurance, now serving as the Coalition's flagship. Former Emperor Caxtor worked beside her as the Coalition's chief advisor, his ancient wisdom now used to unite rather than divide. "Status report on the Outer Rim integration," Sarah asked. "Proceeding smoothly," Caxtor replied. "The Vrex system joined yesterday. Only 3 systems remain outside the Coalition, and they're in negotiations." Sarah nodded, looking at the star map showing a galaxy no longer divided by conquest, but connected by cooperation. "You've adapted well to this new role." "I had a good teacher," Caxtor said. "Though I still wonder, why did you really spare us? You could have ruled the galaxy." Sarah turned to him. "On Earth, we have a saying. The best way to destroy an enemy is to make him a friend. We didn't want to rule. We wanted to inspire." On Coalition Station Alpha, Zalthix worked with his human colleague, Lieutenant Maria Santos. They monitored space together, but now they looked for new civilizations to welcome, not to conquer. "Remember when I first saw the Endurance?" Zalthix asked. "I was terrified." Maria laughed. "We were counting on that. The scariest thing to a bully is someone who isn't afraid. And now we're friends," Zalthix said. "The galaxy is strange." "The galaxy is wonderful," Maria corrected. A year later, the Galactic Coalition held its first anniversary celebration. Representatives from over 3,000 species gathered on the new Unity Station. Former slaves sat as equals with their former masters. Technology flowed freely. Art and culture were shared without fear. Captain Chen addressed the assembly. "A year ago, we showed the galaxy that strength without wisdom is meaningless. Today, we celebrate not a human victory, but a galactic awakening." In the audience, Zalthix watched with pride. The fearsome warship he once detected had brought not destruction, but the greatest peace the galaxy had ever known. As the celebration continued, new contacts appeared on Coalition sensors, more unknown vessels from unexplored space. But now, instead of preparing weapons, operators prepared welcome messages. The galaxy had learned humanity's greatest lesson. The most powerful force in the universe isn't weapons or technology. It's the choice to help rather than harm. The story of the Endurance became legend, reminding all species that sometimes the greatest conquerors are those who conquer fear itself.